Hello everyone, this is Cyber Eric with another gameplay explained video. This is for Pokemon Champions, the latest Pokemon fighting software from Nintendo. We'll go over some of the gameplay aspects, basically what to expect from this game. But before I start, I'll please like to ask everybody, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps make more videos like this. So Pokemon, everybody knows what Pokemon are, right? So I'm not gonna go explaining that, but I'll explain some of the very basics of Pokemon, just in case people actually don't know what it is. I'll explain kind of what champions are. There are these new characters, very Caraway, I think it's called, and this new guy here, and this is basically the Kajima. And basically these are the new characters which means excuses for fighting Pokemons, etc, etc. And that's the basis of Pokemon Champions. This is a free-to-download game. I wouldn't really call it free to play because there's some like mechanics there that I'll show in a second here. There's like an up pass and everything, but that's Pokemon Champions right there. And second, that's the intro. So basically, what are Pokemon battles, etc., etc. Very basic stuff. Obviously, Pokemon is an RPG. You basically have different elements. Like fire will be strong against grass, for example. Here, using the Charizard against the Venusaur. And you can one-shot enemies that, for example, there's effectiveness within the different characters. For example, here, hitting water against the grass, that'll actually be weak, right? So you kind of want to make sure you're managing basically your different types so that you can actually take over particularly some of the weaknesses for the different characters. And the game basically is very, very fair in terms of telling you what's super effective versus what's effective, etc., etc. And you basically get to pick. You'll be able to create your own like team from Pokemon Champions. And there's different aspects, right? It's not just the elements, there's different things that are not effective. And there's also gonna be things that, for example, if a character has multiple weaknesses, because multiple characters will have more than one type, something will be extremely effective, like you see here with the Hurricane from the Pidgeot against the Heracross. And that basically will almost kind of one-shot enemies, but basically does 4 times the damage kind of thing. But basically what Pokemon is basically a mechanics. There's also 2v2. It's not just a 1v1 classic Pokemon thing. There's a 2v2 double battles in Pokemon Champions. This is also very well known for how competitive players play. Pokemon Champions is supposed to be the suite for how competitive gaming will be for Pokemon going forward. And you'll be able to transfer your characters, your Pokemon, into the game. And as you play, for example, if you're playing doubles, there are some moves that will attack multiple enemies at once, like you saw there with the Rock Attack. And you basically get to also select what Pokemon you're attacking when you're playing doubles. It's just very basic stuff, but that's going to be the moves for Pokemon Champions and how it kind of works. Let's go over some of the main menu kind of things, little things like that. It's a very simple game in itself. There's no single player campaign or anything. You basically have this menus like battle. You have your daily missions here. You can click on, and you're basically gonna have different daily missions like just logging into the game. You get some coupons, etc., etc. Basic free-to-play things added to this Pokemon suite, right? And I call it a suite because it's basically more like a sandbox of like, oh, here's how you actually are be controlling your characters. There is a shop. I wanted to show this. There is a battle pass, which again, if you're annoyed by that, that's fine. And it's a $10 battle pass. The battle pass will change over time according to the different seasons that the game will have. And you'll be able to unlock different things like it's for your character, different coupons, the currency to get new Pokemon. You can also get things like the Dragonite there for things, and you can use your BP or I forgot what it was called, but basically your points, so you can basically buy some other cosmetics or even some Mega Stones or other things, held items for Pokemon to create here. That's basically what the shop and you're gonna be getting to. So how do you get Pokemon? You can recruit Pokemon directly from the game, so you don't need to connect to Pokemon Home, and I'll show you like mechanics, but basically you can collect games from Pokemon Home. Pokemon Home is like this virtual cloud service that Pokemon offers, where you can actually put your Pokemon for the different games and you can extract them here. Or if you're in Pokemon Champions and you don't want to use Pokemon Go, you can just recruit Pokemon directly from it. For example, here, and you basically get a particular selection of Pokemon. Here's the first selection I got, where I got things like Pikachu, Lucario, and you get different movesets with them. and you get different even abilities that you want to kind of check. And again, the selection will change, etc. Here's another day, another different set Pokemon that came out from that random search. You get to select them. You also, after you have a couple of Pokemon, you can even create an auto team build feature that the game has there. Where it'll select Pokemon, it'll select the held items, etc. etc. Obviously, you can build it on your own. And obviously, what can you do? Mostly, this is a multiplayer battle game. So basically, you're gonna be battling other people. You can either do single or double battles. You can do ranked, casual matches, etc. And when you go into a match, this is what you're gonna be seeing. You're gonna select your Pokemon. You're gonna select the order of the 3 main Pokemon. You don't fight with all 6. You only fight with 3 of them, and then you basically start the match. For example, here I am playing against a random player. Is ranked single match, just to kind of show the specifics. And here he summons a Frost Blast, if I'm saying it right. And then obviously my Gardevoir, which is one of my favorite Pokemon, by the way. That was for sure. And obviously I have a super effective move here with Fire. Activate that, etc. etc. So that's the basics of a Pokemon battle. You're gonna be selecting different moves. You're gonna be affecting their different abilities. For example, here I lowered their character's special attack. And again, if you must know a little bit some basics for Pokemon. The game will kind of throw you into the deep end, if you will. And the game does have some training modules to kind of show you the basics of Pokemon, like the differences between special moves and physical moves, physical attacks, basically magic versus physical moves, etc. etc. Right? You're gonna have different defenses. You have your speed stat is gonna be affecting, in particular, your battles. And again, you can play this particularly pretty casually, or I'm assuming it's designed to a point that you can get very complicated between the actual people that play Pokemon competitive. For example, here I am using Snorlax against this big Victreebel. And basically that's the match. I'm going to be quiet just so you can kind of hear and watch the rest of this match. And then I'll go over to explain some of the other aspects of Pokemon Champions. Alright, so that's basically the end of that ranked match. For example, at the end, yes, I won. I'm not going to show you something I'm losing. You can keep going, you can keep battling, and you're going to basically play different matches. You're going to rank up and obviously face tougher, higher level people. Once you complete that, for example, you can unlock permissions, etc. etc. You'll be able to fight other things. For example, here's Gengar, my favorite Pokemon. Gengar is the best. I just wanted to show him. And training, as I mentioned before, the game will show you some of the basics like Mega Evolutions, physical versus special moves, as I mentioned before. How do you decide what move priorities are, weather conditions, terrains, when you fight different moves will change the terrain depending on how you play Pokemon games. And here's the home. If you click on this, you basically can collect Pokemon from Pokemon Home, the other software you can upload Pokemon games. Pokemon characters from other Pokemon games, and you basically can check, and the game will check. In this case, I don't use Pokemon Go or Pokemon Home. I do play Pokemon Go, but and so that's basically how it kind of functions. So here's, for example, another match that I kind of wanted to show, where, for example, I'm playing a random local person here, and I basically got my Machamp, and I'm basically trying to do a fighting against a Dragonite. You will sometimes have to wait for people, like communicating here, to make a decision, right? Because you're playing against other real people, and they can actually mega evolve and do certain things. So be mindful of the different strategies. How do you pick your Pokemon, the order of them? That's going to be part of your strategies for playing Pokemon Champions. That's basically what this game is. It's not complicated. Classic Pokemon RPG mechanics. It's not like Pokemon Legends CA that has a different combat mechanic for Pokemon. This is straight up the classic RPG games that you have, at least if you're watching this and you know about Pokemon, that you basically have played for the last 20 years or so. Obviously mechanics in terms of like, the game looks nice, it looks pretty, it functions, but that's just basically what it is. It is a free-to-play software for battling Pokemon. There's a lot of lack of what a game is, but it is also a free-to-play title. I don't know how much you want to invest in terms of putting money on it, but that's basically what it is. I'll be quiet just so you guys can actually watch the end of this fight, and then I'll wrap up. Alright, now that Snorlax and that team has been defeated, that's basically why you win, and that's basically Pokemon Champions. You're going to be picking your Pokemon team, or double teams, etc. And you're going to be playing against different people, and that's basically for Pokemon Champions. There's nothing particularly complicated, there's no single player campaign or anything like that. But that's it for this gameplay explained video. Thanks everybody for watching. Please like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Again, pretty simple, straightforward game. Please try it if you want. Otherwise, this is Cyber Eric, and have a good day, everybody.